You ever live somewhere so peaceful, you forget the world outside even exists? That was me for years. Our little street curved like a smile through the edge of a small Carolina town. Quiet, neighborly, the kind of place where kids left bikes on lawns and nobody cared. Out back, I had this little creek that ran behind my house. It wasn't much, just a ribbon of water threading between the oaks, but to me, it was alive. I'd walk out there barefoot every morning with a mug of coffee, listening to it hum through the stones, frogs croaking, the smell of wet grass rising with the sun. That creek was my peace. My reminder that not everything needed fixing. But peace never lasts when someone decides perfection looks better. It started the week she moved in, Madeline Kerrigan. New HOA president. Came in like a storm in heels, big smile, big ideas, and a clipboard that might as well have been a sword. Within a month, she was sending out letters about neighborhood image and curb appeal. People laughed at first. Then the warnings came. Paint too faded. Fences too tall. Grass too long. By the time she got to my house, I already knew the tone. Mr. Hale, she said that morning, standing on my porch like she was running for office. The area behind your property has become a visual concern. It's overgrown, unsightly, potentially hazardous. I laughed. You mean the creek? She smiled that politician smile. If you want to call it that. It's stagnant, cluttered, not really in line with the neighborhood's vision. Ma'am, I told her, that clutter is called nature, and that creek's been here longer than any of our mortgages. Her smile didn't move. Well, we'll be voting on improvements soon. Then she walked off, her perfume mixing with the smell of damp earth, and for some reason I knew. This wasn't the end. See, Madeline had a gift. She could take something beautiful and convince everyone it was broken. Within weeks, she was calling the creek a mosquito pit, a hazard, an eyesore. She used words like revitalization and community beautification. Folks started nodding along because she made it sound fancy, like progress. I tried to fight it. Sent emails, printed county maps showing the drainage lines. Told them flat out, if you block that water, you're begging for a flood. But people don't listen when they're comfortable. They listen when they're wet. The night they brought in the machines, I remember that sound. The deep growl of diesel engines before sunrise. I ran out barefoot, waving my arms like a maniac. You can't fill that in. I shouted. That's a live drainage path. One of the workers shrugged. Got approval from the HOA, sir. Madeline appeared not long after, perfect hair under her rain hat. Good morning, Mr. Hale, she said, all cheer. You had your chance to appeal. Appeal? I sent proof. We reviewed it, she said, tilting her head. But the board voted. It's time we made this neighborhood look like it should. You think a vote changes physics? I snapped. Her eyes narrowed. Step aside. They poured the first bucket of concrete like they were burying something sacred. I stood there filming it, the air thick with that sharp metallic smell of wet cement. And I swear, for a second, it felt like the earth went quiet. Like even it was holding its breath. Weeks passed. The new drainage channel gleamed under the sun, smooth and gray and lifeless. Madeline called it progress. The kids called it the parking lot creek. I called it a mistake waiting to happen. Then came the summer heat. Heavy, sticky, the kind that promised storms. I noticed puddles that wouldn't drain, a sour smell in the lower yards. I sent more warnings, more pictures, got silence in return. Even my neighbor, old Mr. Donnelly, just sighed and said, let it go, son. Some folks only learn when they're knee-deep in the proof. And oh, did the proof come. The night the storm hit, I was on the porch, listening to thunder roll like an argument I'd already lost. Rain started soft, then turned furious. By midnight, it was pounding so hard I couldn't see across the yard. The next morning, my phone buzzed, Norma from down the street yelling, Eli, it's flooding. It's coming through the garages. I ran outside, water already up to my shins. The air smelled like mud and gasoline. Eddie's driveway looked like a river, the current tearing through his yard. The concrete channel, Madeline's pride and joy, was buried under brown water. And then I heard it. A low crack. The kind that makes your stomach drop. The cement was splitting. The ground underneath was pushing back. Nature, furious and alive again. Madeline came running out in her fancy raincoat, mascara bleeding down her face. Why is it rising so fast? She screamed. I shouted back. Because you buried the outlet. You killed the drain. She shook her head, panicking. The contractor said. The contractor's gone, Maddie. I yelled. And the water doesn't care about your vote. By noon, half the neighborhood was underwater. People were hauling boxes and pets into their attics, shouting for help. I helped an old couple get upstairs, filmed as the creek tore itself free. That sound, the roaring rush as the concrete broke apart, it wasn't destruction. It was revenge. When the rescue boats came that night, the whole place looked like a lake. Reporters arrived before the county trucks did. Madeline sat on her porch steps, shivering, watching her perfect garden drown. I walked past her, too tired for anger. She looked up at me and whispered, I just wanted it to look better. I stopped. You should have let it be better. Days later, when the water finally receded, Oak Haven Drive didn't look like home anymore. Mud everywhere. Piles of ruined furniture. The smell of mildew hanging like guilt in the air. But the creek, it was back. Not pretty, not perfect, but breathing again. The county inspector came out, shook her head, and said, they filled a regulated drainage path without a permit. That's illegal. You could have heard a pin drop. Then the lawsuit started. An environmental lawyer named Claire Duval stepped in, sharp woman with calm eyes and a voice that cut cleaner than any argument. What they did, she said, flipping through the HOA letters, isn't beautification. It's negligence. Word spread fast. News vans, drones, the whole circus. And somehow, I ended up being the face of it. That wasn't the plan. I didn't want fame. I just wanted the creek to breathe again. But that clip of me standing in the flood, saying, you can't bury a creek and expect it to forget where it used to run. That one went everywhere. By fall, the county ordered the HOA to rip out every inch of concrete and restore the creek at their expense. Hundreds of thousands of dollars gone. Madeline resigned in tears during a community meeting, saying she'd only ever wanted to bring order. I told her, you can't bring order to what was never broken. Months passed. Crews came back, this time to fix what pride had destroyed. They planted new grass, rebuilt the banks, and when water finally started flowing again, kids were back throwing rocks across it like before. One afternoon, I was clearing branches when I heard footsteps. Madeline, no makeup, muddy boots, and the kind of quiet in her eyes that comes only after losing everything. She asked softly, need a hand? I hesitated, then handed her the shovel. Sure, but don't expect it to look perfect. She smiled, half sad, half free. I've had enough of perfect. We worked in silence, side by side, pulling up weeds and picking concrete chunks from the soil. After a while she said, I thought control made me belong. Turns out, it just made me alone. I didn't answer. I just nodded toward the water. It's funny how it always finds its way back. Now, the creek runs clear again. The new HOA, under, let's say, less ambitious leadership, put up a little wooden sign by the bank. It says, you can't bury what keeps you alive. I walk past it every morning with my coffee, same as before, except now, people wave again. They ask about the flow, about drainage, about balance. And I tell them what I learned the hard way. You can't outvote gravity, and you sure as hell can't outsmart nature. Maybe that's the real lesson. We spend so much time trying to control things, to fix, polish, manage, that we forget some things aren't meant to be perfect. They're meant to be alive. So tell me, if you'd been in that neighborhood, would you have voted with her? Or would you have stood with me, against the tide? Leave a comment below, because I really want to know, how far should we go to make something better, before it stops being alive at all?